He is the frontman of Avatar. Johannes, thank you so much for staying up late.
Well, glad to be here. It's so fun how different the energies are that are colliding right now when I'm in this evening zen mode, you know. I should light some candles and everything, and you guys are, I guess, early evening, afternoon, something.
6:30.
Yes, it's 6:30 where we are in New York City.
Yeah.
It is 1:30 where you are.
Yeah.
In the morning.
Yep.
So we're keeping you up late.
And that's absolutely fine. I might give the most interesting answer to whatever you asked that I've done for this album in this delirious state. So it's going to be interesting.
Middle of the night truth serum.
Yeah. What time do you usually go to sleep? I want to be
on record now and comment on your Kamala background and commend you on paying the respects there. I've been dealing with this past months. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a pandemic going on. And
over there as well.
Yeah.
Well, where you are, they probably acknowledge it, unlike our country.
Well, you're in Sweden, though, right?
I am in Helsinki, in Finland.
Oh, okay. In Finland.
Okay. So since it's going on 6 years now that I live here.
Okay.
No, but I think that has one way of dealing with it has made me quite strict on certain regimens that usually at this time I'm asleep nowadays, which is very metal.
Well, you know, sometimes it's the unmetal things that are metal, like early mornings.
Yeah, you know, to go against the grain in any case.
Exactly. Exactly.
All in all, I feel like one of the big words that defines what metal seems to be about for most metalheads is individuality. That's a hard word. That's 1:30. Individuality. And so to do whatever the fuck you want, including getting in bed on time and going up early and walking the dog. Hail Satan, you know.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. I wake up at 6:30 in the morning to walk my dog basically every morning.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't care if you're metal or not. He wakes you up and tells you, "Dad, it's time."
Is he asleep right now? Can you
he
see the dog?
is. No, the dog is not here. Dog and wife are tucked away, and dog will say, "Dad, it's time." Wife wakes up and say, "Yeah, Dad, it's time. Take the dog out."
The shit smells the same whether you're too metal to walk him or not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just as warm.
Exactly.
So it is a very interesting time with everything going on in the world, and you guys, Avatar, decided to release an album in the midst here. Give people something to listen to. The album is called Hunter Gatherer. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I really love, you guys in general with your music. Your albums offer quite a bit of variety. It's almost like metal musical theater in a way, and I mean that as a compliment. And I feel like with the newest album, there's a renewed focus on like heaviness.
Yeah.
It still has the signature theatricality that you guys are known for, and I love some of the melodies and like the kind of like European influence, like old song, like sing-along songs that you kind of throw in there. But then you guys get like super heavy too, and it's very, very fun. Tell us about how was making the album.
Well, the heaviness, that was by design from very early on. I feel like because Avatar Country was everything that it was, it meant we get certain things out of our system. There was a certain, I guess, purge that happened with it, as we had started to joke around so much towards the end of Feathers and Flesh, and a lot of seeds were planted where we at that time decided to, hey, let's see if we can do something funny, and let's let's see if we could do something funny, and let's write this love letter to old school heavy metal that we felt we had inside of us. So that made the album kind of lighthearted and pretty, dragon slaying, I would say. And since we got it out of our systems, pretty much right after we left the studio, we kind of looked at each other and said, so next one's going to be real heavy, right? Yeah. so there was kind of this aesthetic choice was made way before we were figuring out what this album was going to be and what the songs were. We knew that, and we knew that it was going to not be a concept album, because originally Feathers and Flesh was supposed to be the concept album, and then we would move on, because at that time we wanted to do it because we had no idea what it meant to make a concept album. That was, we did it for the sake of the challenge. But then Avatar Country was, the only thing we could imagine doing at that time. So that meant 2 concept albums in a row. Third time it would have become a crutch or a weird hindrance, a formula. So we went, from Sgt. Pepper to White Album or something like that, to compare it to a band on, equal footing with us. So those things we were very clear on early on, but then everything else was kind of left open, and it was just important to trust the process and make sure there was time for the process. The 2 prior albums, Feathers wasn't done in a short period of time, but it was so much that needed to be done for it. There was a lot of crunch time at the end. And Avatar Country was only crunch time, because we had set a very specific goal for it, realized, we can pull that off in a couple of months, and panicked, but at the same time being totally inspired. This time it was like, okay, we don't know exactly what this is gonna be. We're gonna make a metal album, and it's gonna be heavy. We said heavy. Okay, cool. So then what we by design made sure we had a fairly long journey this time with it. So we had a lot of time to just write by ourselves and doing deep studies of our own belly buttons, and then make sure to have a couple of deep dives where we gather and worked on a song collectively. Got to rehearse it for a month, which is nowadays not as easy to do as it was back in the day. So everything got to take its time, and it grew from there. Like the vision, it was weird. There was a sense of that we had direction from early on, but it was like having a picture in front of you that was blurry, like slightly out of focus, and writing songs meant to adjust the lens until Hunter Gatherer emerged.
And some of the melodies are very, very catchy too, including the vocal melodies. And I wonder, how do you work on that stuff? Do you kind of come up with the melody first and then have words fit in, or it all comes together at once?
It's I guess it's from a song to song basis. A Secret Door, as the vocal melody, is the melody of the riff, but just different chords underneath. Their melody came very early for that reason, but I guess that is because it usually starts with the guitars, and vocal melodies come with a whole vocal package all at once, pretty much, and that tends to happen as a reaction to the riffs. Like, speaking of the Beatles earlier, as far as formulas goes, or principles in our music, I think that the shortest way to describe how I personally, and I think I would speak for all of the band more or less with this, that you can narrow down what our songs are all about to 2 bands, Beatles and Black Sabbath. Sounds nothing like it, obviously, but with Black Sabbath is the principle of the riff. If you do metal, it's all about the riff. Everything starts there, and which is a very simple truth that we all know, but at the same time, when you write, you can sometimes lose that in the shuffle. And the secret to the riff is the groove. Like, you figure out which pieces of drums to hit at what time. Like, if you take Iron Man, best riff ever, or on that list of greatest riffs ever, imagine that in some kind of bow, 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 some rockabilly double tempo drums, and it would be the worst riff ever. So creating those grooves is where it starts. And if you create those, and once that sits the way where it's supposed to sit, that should mean that it does something to you emotionally and paints a picture. And then the vocal, lyrics, everything happens as a reaction to that. The music has to resonate with something going on in here. So vocal melodies happens as a reaction, and sometimes very quickly, organically, and then sometimes I think "Scream Until You Wake" had 3 different choruses that were pretty similar to each other. That made it hard to choose towards the end. And "Child," the verses there, the chorus happened like that in no time, but the verses, I think, also had like 3-4 different versions of it before it found a proper home.
So we actually have some a fan question, and if you want to ask Johannes a question, you can give us a call right now. 213 Wide Nut is the number. 1213-943-3688. It's the number to speak to us. And we have Kyle wondering if the song "Gun" is an anti-war song similar to one by Metallica, and if it's based on someone that you personally knew. It sounds deeply personal, and Kyle is very curious to find out more. Because he's a gossip queen. No.
Well, Mr. Brofslavsky, it's not a literal gun, or it can be, because it's more than anything, I would say that song is about trust and about losing. And the word losing fits better than the word loss for it. It's I don't know, a way to summarize it would be to just say that it is a vulnerable song about vulnerability, but basically to put trust in somebody else, or to, that means that can be weaponized against you, I guess. And this is, how do you say it? Some kind of emotional lamentation, I guess the words are, for on that, that you've been hurt really bad. So, yeah, not literally about gun violence or anything. We don't have much of that here in Finland on a day-to-day basis, or Sweden for that matter. So, no, it's more something in between people, more relationship-oriented, I would say.
Got it. And you guys are a very visual band. You are known for your big productions, and you've been kind of parked. And are you how has it been being in a band and realizing you have to kind of reassess what the band will be doing for the next year, and kind of schedules are out the window? And is it a time to be extra creative, or just a time to kick back? How are you promoting the album while being at home, other than obviously doing interviews like this?
Well, I'm wearing less pants while promoting this album than I have in the past.
Always a goal in life.
And I think all of this, the fact that we aren't going to tour for quite some time still, it hasn't kicked in properly. Because we've been doing, I'm doing this all the time, and we keep trying to come up with things we can do to continue feeling like a band in the meantime, including that, I think our social media presence has increased quite a bit throughout this. John started to do drum playthroughs and instructional videos, same for the guitar, same for some bass stuff is coming as well. Just figuring out what can we do in the meantime, and solving the problem of filming 2 music videos before the pandemic hit, realizing that there were issues in both, that we need to come up with new stuff, realizing that when I'm back in Finland and the other guys in Sweden and I can't travel over, so okay, I guess it's green screen in the living room time, and try to create stuff under those limitations. So it's been very creative, and I see it continuing being very creative. We were supposed to have had a pretty long break now anyway from touring. The idea was to put the album out and let it exist out there for a while before hitting the road, because again, the last 2 albums, we were 1 week deep into respective tours in support of those albums before they came out. So release date came and went, kind of was that today? It's out now? So we wanted to create, to let people get to know the songs and get familiar with it. So it would have been less touring this year. Anyway, up until about now. Right now, I'm, I guess, 1 week into the US tour. That is not happening. And the brain has understood it, but just I'm still, I guess, emotionally in denial about it. And try to see the benefits of it. It's, you know, dog and wife and I haven't spent this long period of uninterrupted time together since we got together. So, you know, take that as a positive, I guess.
And I'm sure you're watching so much more wrestling now that you have all this free
No,
time.
it's terrible now. It's,
oh my God. All of it? You don't like any of it? Or you just don't watch WWE?
No, I put on and watch. If I watch something, I watch something from 1984 or something right now. Number one, like I'm a big fan of performing arts in general, and the art of performing arts, the art of being on stage, whether it's comedy, magic, pro wrestling, then in a ring, anything that has to do with communicating with a crowd, to go out there with a plan, but have that being a living, breathing thing that changes depending on what happens with the crowd. Wrestling without an audience is, I don't know, like a strip club without an audience, like a magic show without an audience, you can do certain things you can do without people there, but wrestling, it doesn't do it for me.
I totally understand.
So I did watch WrestleMania this year, or parts of it actually, after it went out, and those cinematic things that they did were god awful. I thought.
I agree. They got a lot of praise, which I was shocked by. I thought they were. Well, one was really way worse than the other, but they're.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan.
That weird one was at least weirdly enough, so it was intriguing at the time, and was only after that. So, I was drawn in, but then it left a bad taste in my mouth. And then, I don't know, you need an audience there. Otherwise, you get kind of caught up in they're just pretending to fight, which
100%.
Which is kind of the point
Yeah.
and the charm of it when it's done right, to lose yourself in that. But no, I just can't. And they're doing a poor job anyway. I think what's going on right now would have been bad with an audience as well. So I don't know. It's not looking good.
So what is your entertainment? How do you, when you're not doing the band, how do you entertain yourself?
Well, we've been watching, we had the director's cut Lord of the Rings marathon one day. You have I exercise way more than I ever had, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pull-up bar, always up now.
How's it doing your podcast? You just watched The Crow.
Oh yeah. We had tried to be a bit more regular with a podcast we're doing, my wife and I. Thank you for reminding me of plugging things. By the way, we also have an album out, and my name is Johannes. It's called Metal Break, and we do interviews, it's been mainly interviews in the last period, but we play around with the concept of it, just the culture of the subculture of metal. We actually did one episode quite a while back now about the connections between metal and wrestling, for instance. And spend some more time on that. And we did a watch along where we stream ourselves for our patrons. We stream ourselves while watching a movie and sync it up with people, 3, 2, 1, go, and we watch it together and then talk over the whole thing. And she chose The Crow, and I'm gonna choose, and I choose the next one. It's gonna be This Is Spinal Tap,
Nice.
which is the greatest, most accurate documentary about bands ever made. And that's true. It's banned on many tour buses.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
People can't take the jokes?
No, it's just hits too close to home, because every band has those, funny stuff that happens, but also those pathetic moments. Being in a band can be there's so many pathetic things going on. Also, huge or small bands is all the same, and everybody has had the version. Everybody has gotten lost on the way to stage. Everybody has had the, the cocoons that won't open, or and then closes on it.
The mini Stonehenge.
Yeah. Like a lot of those things were in a way based on, I guess, Rainbow and Black Sabbath stories, but specifically the cocoon thing. We had a thing happen like that to us. Like we had one of those little risers on stage that was, round and painted like the thing that elephants would balance on in the circus, whatever it's called. And then we would have this, like a shower curtain, a kabuki drop, and I would magically appear there in the beginning of the show. After having done that 400 million shows in a row, we decided to put Jonas inside of there instead and start with a different song. That particular show, it didn't fall. The drop didn't work, So you had the majestic intro, then nothing, then nothing, then nothing. Then Jonas walking out, standing next to it, and starting to play.
Tell the truth. Did you sabotage that so that you would look like you did it much better?
No, but it was hysterical though. That of course it happens the one time we do it differently, and you have. I don't know if this counts as Spinal Tap. This is almost more. What was that movie called? Bad News. That I ripped a seam in my pants. Speaking of the new album, the new outfit is way more adjusted to be worn on stage comfortably, except that it doesn't breathe at all. But these outfits we had for Avatar Country, the pants were no stretch, no give in them at all. And I did a deep squat on stage at some point while singing, and the seam ripped from the crotch up to the lower back.
Was it a Lenny Kravitz situation?
No, it was, but reversed, so the back. And that was laundry day. And on tour, that means no underwear.
Oh, no.
I seen a gif of that happening to a woman in a tight dress. So it was that. And luckily, I had, the frock, and I started to do this crab walking. I've been looking through, combing through the internet for footage of this. No one saw it, including the band. And, my frock is hanging in the way. But I need to get off stage and get help with a guy from the crew with it, to at least tape it up or something. And he doesn't understand what's going on, because I need to be as far enough off stage so the audience cannot see me showing him the issue. So I kind of push him into the wall, and he thinks like, what did I do? He's gonna kill me. And I grab his head and show it basically into my ass, because it's dark and I need to make sure that he sees what's going on. But then he starts taping me up with black gaff. I go up on stage, start, lift, take a step, it falls off. Go up, get it fixed over and over again. His face, and it's so dark, and he has this tiny light. I guess he holds it in his mouth while taping, so he's up there. And that goes on between every show, between every song. And before the last song, and we ended with King Welcomes You to Avatar Country, so we would switch to white jackets. I get off, don't find mine, so I turn around. Hendrik in the dark puts on my jacket instead of his own, and I'm the biggest guy in the band, so I cannot wear his. So it's just that thing of no costume change, your ass is hanging out, and you walk like a crab, and still somehow has to pretend that everything is awesome. And that's why, again, and no band puts that in the documentary, because we all try to sell something, but so Spinal Tap is the closest thing to the truth you'll ever get from any band.
You don't want to have the assless chaps show in your documentary. That's probably not a good sell.
No, exactly, but it's yeah.
Well, if you want to use this segment for like the bonus features of your next DVD, feel free.
Yeah. It's just so sad again that no footage. And what disappointed me, because then as soon as I show the band, once we get off stage, all of us, and like, so this happened. Of course, we laughed, so the jaws hurt and tears are running, but it was such a missed opportunity. Like on that tour, also me and John had tried to make each other crack up, during the shows, and we've been dangerously close because we got the two best instruments for it. Because if you laugh, you can't sing. You just squeak and do weird sounds. You cannot sing. And playing drums, if you laugh enough, he becomes all weak and can't play either. So we've been tried for a year to sabotage each other's shows. And if he would have seen this, I would have won forever. So it was a missed opportunity.
But does it count as a win if you didn't do it on purpose?
Fair enough. It still was a sacrifice involved in it since I stayed on stage. I don't know. I would have taken it as a win.
You could have told him you did it on purpose.
Yeah. Check this out.
That for the next tour, you have to have tearaway butt in your pants. So you just, if you turn a certain way, it just
I'll contact our seamstress, Michaela, and have her work on a surprise, some Velcro.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Johannes, for hanging out with us. We will let you go to bed, snuggle with your wife and dog.
I want to say one thing real quick
before
you plug the album. I know you were joking before, kind of self-deprecatingly saying that you're not on the level of the Beatles, but I want to know, did the Beatles put out an album this year? I didn't hear about it, if they did.
Sure.
So, Avatar 1, Beatles zip.
Well, yes, that's true. However, then, release week means Google yourself week. And that's terrible. And when you look at, iTunes sales and stuff, and you kind of jump up, the album is, as far as I can tell, I wait for a grown-up to tell me if it's true, but it seems to be doing fairly well for being us. And then you just look who else is on that list and who's beating you. And it is, for instance, the Beatles. Mm-hmm. But they've been kept on, so, they didn't release an album, but their stuff has stayed relevant for, over 50 years now.
Beg to differ.
I need to see these numbers. What's their methodology? I'm not buying it.
Well, so I don't know. Beatles are still, to imagine that, having, writing and releasing something and then it stays in the charts for 50 plus years. So when that happens, then I won't need to, maybe if that happens with this one, then I won't need to release an album in 50 plus years.
Well, the album you just released is called Hunter Gatherer. Please, everyone, go listen to it, stream it a few times so we can get above the Beatles in the charts.
Yeah, let's beat the Beatles.
Yeah, let's beat the Beatles. And also,
I mean, no Avatar members ever worked with Kanye West. Just a thing like that,
It's a great point.
That's worth a couple of.
That's worth a few.
Yeah.
Downloads. That's worth a purchase, in fact.
Yeah.
And the podcast that you do is called Metal Break.
Mm-hmm.
So you can check that out as well. And Johannes appeared on my other podcast, Squared Circle Pit, a few years ago. So we could deep dive into your wrestling nerdom. If you'd like to do that, that's in our archives. Check that out. Thank you, Johannes. Any final words?
Good night.
Good night.
Good morning.
Good night.
Thank you so much, all of you. It was an absolute pleasure to be on here. It was worth staying awake for. Now I'm all hyped up.
Go take the dog
Coffee.
out first.
The cough is kicking in. That means it's time for bed.
All right, thanks.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.